My name is Sanat Das. I'm in the analytics industry for 25 years now. Currently, I'm the co-founder and director for AI and digital for Navanmesh Lab, which is a startup company that focuses on providing highly personalized services to customers in wellness and beauty segment. It's more driven by AI engine that we are in the process of developing. We started this company in February 2020, which is recently. Before I started Navanmesh Lab, I worked for Accenture as a delivery lead for AI and machine learning capability. Prior to Accenture, I worked for Indeed, Oracle, and Infosys in various analytics, leadership, and strategic roles, covering product development, client management, and AI consulting space. Yeah, continuing with my intro, maybe I'll just give brief lines. When I started my career in analytics, that was in way back in 95, AI was not a household name in the technology field. It was the previous cycle of AI in forms of data warehouse and analytics it was around 2005 that AI as a field started getting attention. So I started my career in data warehousing, then moved on to analytics, advanced analytics, then with data science, machine learning, and then into AI at this point. It has been a great journey and learning experience. I would also share some of my experience as we go through it, and then we'll get into various sections. With that, covering the agenda, today's we have the following as agenda. We'll cover basically three backgrounds: working professional, how do you grow in the field of AI? Here, I would assume you are already familiar with AI and you are working in the field. It could be in advanced analytics, data science, machine learning, or in AI areas. Then the second aspect that I plan to cover is the transitioning into AI from a different background. And then third, we'll be covering the opportunity that exists in AI for freshers. And then we'll cover what are the skill sets required and from the recruiters aspects. And at the end, just to put the guidelines in place at the end of the session, put all your questions. So we'll have a discussion at the end. Starting with the first topic for the day. What happened? Sorry. Sorry about that. Just 1 second. Yeah. Sorry about that. Starting with the first one, the working professional, how do you plan your career in AI? There are few pointers probably I have. To start with, I would like to start with the most critical one that I feel is the business knowledge. As you might be aware that AI is a field that's a combination of both business and technology. Business knowledge plays a very critical role in the area of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So understanding the business domain is extremely critical, and how do you apply AI and machine learning to benefit the business plays the key role here. That's why it doesn't matter which business domain you're working in, whether it's finance, healthcare, supply chain, or manufacturing, you should have a good understanding of the business aspects. So as you grow as a working professional, you have to invest that to kind of get a grasp of the area that you are diving in. And the second point I'm emphasizing here is the AI life cycle and the importance of process. When I say process, it's basically the stages of the life cycle. When you start a project, we start with a business objective and the project objective. Then we go on up to gathering the data, then doing the exploratory data analysis, then finalizing the model, evaluation, deployment, tuning, and implementation of the model. But what I would like to emphasize here, sometime we land up in a project which is just like already we have the exploratory data analysis done and you have been told to start with the model, or even the model selection is done. You have been told, okay, you have to do a ensemble model and this is the problem statement. But it's extremely important you should know the previous cycle as well, like what were the business objective, what are the kind of features you took, why certain features were taken in the exploratory data analysis, how the data looked for it, why did you select such a model and why not the other. The reason being the whole AI life cycle is a iterative process. It's pretty much agile for project management, what we follow. Because as we go ahead, when you come back in the second round, there will be certain question when you revisit your model. You would like to know in the first place why you took such a decision or why you did the development in such a way. They say no matter where you jump in, it's better to understand the complete process and the stages involved. So that's why as you kind of get into the project, you try to understand all the pieces of the puzzles to have a complete appreciation of the life cycle. And the third important point as a working professional probably is the communication. When you say communication in a typical AI project, we deal with stakeholders at all levels. And when we say all levels, sometimes your stakeholders are at typical business folks, like maybe a business senior stakeholders. Sometimes it's the researchers, sometimes are the data experts, and sometimes it's just the technology experts. But you have to have a communication across all levels. You have to understand what they want. You have to also communicate your result to them, and always they want the thing that is easy for them to understand. That's why the term data storytelling, which is nothing but an effective communication that comes out very critical. So as you grow uh, in your career from a fresher to the next level and so on, it becomes extremely important that you communicate very well, not only from the language perspective, even what you want to communicate through your data and presentation. And the next, I wanted to focus on the tool set and the technology stack. So right now, if we look at, we have a huge amount of tools and programming languages, and every day we get tools which are much more versatile with much more feature. But what more important is what kind of tools and technology you need to solve a problem that you have in hand. That's it, extremely important to focus on a problem solving approach than on the sophistication of the tools and technology that are available. Like for example, if you are doing a solution which needs just a correlation analysis, maybe you do not have to get into the next phase. Or if you are dealing with where you are doing a project which needs just a linear regression, you don't have to go into looking at something which is very complex. So whatever, even the tools you need, you have to appropriately choose that. So that judgment you have to have as a professional, whatever experience you have to input those. And another critical thing which is very important, what I have seen, is being hands-on. Unlike the other fields, no matter which level you are in AI, it's expected you be hands-on. Even if you are a project lead or even if you are a CEO of a company, when you go to a discussion, it is expected you understand the architecture, you understand the design, you also understand a program level so that you can always get down and understand why your algorithm accuracy is low or why you don't have certain dashboard or certain features that we're expecting not presented the right way. And that's why it is like very important that you have to be very actively in multiple way in terms of you have to have like some of the forums that we have like in AI and machine learning forum. It's very easy to interact there. You have to create your learning projects. As right now, if you look at it, it's a completely open source world. So creating learning projects and explore some of the uh, platforms like GitHub, which is like you get access to huge amount of projects which people are dealing with and actively contribute into multiple AI and machine learning forums that I would like to emphasize because this makes a big difference. AI being a very young field and it's growing almost every day. It's very important to learn as well as contribute. And learning here is a continuous process because there are a lot of things like if we look at AI as a area where it was say 1 year back and now there has been tremendous amount of change and every day there are new areas in terms of application as well as technology coming up. So it's very important that you we have to keep ourselves updated on that. So you have to keep yourself relevant only when you keep yourself up to date. Unfortunately, we have a lot of forums, whether in the corporate level or even in a technology forum wise, we have like you have multiple hackathons, meetups, and group projects that we do. There you can do. If you look at even on the meetup groups, there are multiple projects that you do. So as a professional, when you interact with that and contribute, it not only adds to your knowledge, it also adds to your experience and your stand in the organization and participating some of the forum like Kaggle and similar technology forums, it makes a big difference because not only you get a live project experience, you also get exposure to the data sets, which are very much like complex data sets with some of the new problem statement, like with the current COVID-19, you get some of the data set that are getting from multiple angle and collected by multiple people. And that gives you an exposure how to look at the data from multiple aspects and analyze them and derive multiple inputs, which can give you insight on a different direction. And the last, not the least, I would like to highlight, even as you grow in your organization and you change your company or look for other opportunity, you have to choose a company that aligns with your career aspirations. Like before you get into it, yeah, when you change, you tend to look at the opportunity that exists, the kind of, it's important to also look at the prospect that you get, but other than looking at what kind of position you get or what are the kind of pay package it gets, it's more important to say what the company does. If you are into finance analytics, then it's very important you look for a company that works on finance analytics so that you can plan your career accordingly, you can plan your path accordingly. And similarly, when you are within an organization, and you are looking for a project or a team, choose that best aligns with your interest, where you want to see yourselves in next 5 years. So that way you can plan your career much better way. So that's what I wanted to cover because as you grow in your career, there are responsibility wise things will grow and there are multiple complications that will add. But however, your hands on responsibility doesn't go up. And this being a very new area, there is a lot of things that keeps coming up every day. So that's why you have to look at all these aspects as you grow in the field. If you have any other thoughts, we'll discuss at the end. Then I'll move to the next part, which is transitioning from a different background. And when I say transitioning from a different background, I assume that you are completely coming from a different background where you do not have any experience in, say, computer science or statistics or mathematics that are required. So with that, in first probably you have to start investing on the new skills that you require. And the primary, this may not be everything that you need, but these are the mandatory things that you require. In the new skill in terms of there are statistics and mathematics, though not very higher level, but definitely intermediate level statistics and probability and linear algebra that you definitely require, and that is for the that is mainly to have a appreciation for the algorithms. There's some of the tools when you use, you do not have to really know how it works, but then if you know, that definitely helps you to enhance them to a given problem statement. That's why it's definitely required you understand and appreciate those basic concepts. So invest some time to understand those basic elements in terms of charts and math concept. And the second thing is the programming language. Here, I would say it is not a basic appreciation. You have to really be an expert in any of the language. And there are a lot of languages available currently in the market, starting from R, Python, Vika. So if you look at, there is a whole lot of things are there. At this point, the most important ones, which are more popular and more in demand, and R and Python and few others. But the basic difference, if you look at the way it has, well, like R used to be very popular, but right now R does very well for a research oriented kind of a scenario, where Python performs very well for a more application, business, and corporate scenario. The reason being, there is a lot of open source libraries and so frameworks have been developed and integrated for Python, which has made the language much more robust and usable. But then, depending on the kind of career you are focusing on, if it is a research, R still is quite versatile and useful, but Python is much more useful if you are developing a business application, or you leveraging some of the framework that has come in. And when you do the programming language, it is expected you have to have the expertise, not just a familiarity. So you have, this is where you have to invest much more time and train yourself and have the hands-on experience, because programming is something, unless you spend time do on your own, it's not like you really don't get the mastery of it. And the third comes in the machine learning algorithms. You have to have a very good understanding of the algorithms that are basically uh, four variety. I would say one is supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. I'll cover them when we come to the skill required. But you need start at least with the basic algorithms, what they mean. And whenever you are learning the algorithm, I would suggest that always relate to a application. Like suppose you are learning for a supervised learning, which is a basic form, and you are looking for a linear regression. Some of the very small example, like how to predict a trend, how to predict a housing price, those are very small and very basic algorithm applications are there. Try to at least understand so that you can connect the concept to the actual applications. And similarly, as you go to the complex ones, accordingly learn it. Just don't learn the theory of it. And the other one that comes machine learning libraries and framework. And this space is a huge space because it has a lot more open source library and framework has come up. If you are aware, recently last say few years, starting from TensorFlow, Keras, Theano, this kind of framework has come up which has huge benefit in terms of storage space, in terms of the way they, even the mathematical operations. So these are the applications that you have to spend definitely time to learn it. And other than that, the main basic core concept that you have to learn is the machine learning, deep learning, and AI. But when I speak about that, you don't have to probably focus on all of them if you are transitioning into a new area. Start with machine learning concepts. Understand what are the algorithms and how they work and what are the basically the technique behind it. And then deep learning is nothing but the similar machine learning is an extension. So once you have a good understanding of machine learning, you can understand deep learning and then into AI. And as again, I'll repeat, whenever you are learning this, always relate your concept to the application area because the AI as a area is very application oriented. And if you are transitioning for a different background, try to leverage as much as expertise possible what you have so that you start with some amount of comfort that you already have. Like, for example, you have a business domain knowledge. Suppose you are coming from a supply chain background or you are coming for a finance background. Those plays a huge benefit if you are able to leverage those knowledge and then add to it. So try to cut it. Or if you have a technical skill like you are good in data modeling or you are good in architecture and any specific programming language, try to leverage those so that you don't stand with a complete unknown area, but with some amount of your expertise. And on top of that, choose the right data science role that aligns with your expertise and interest. Like you, there are actually, if you look at data science, there are multiple roles, but there is a lot of overlapping among them. Just to basic some of them to differentiate data scientist, data engineer, architect, and business analyst. Like if you are coming with a complete business background, maybe you will be very comfortable with the kind of requirement a business analyst that play. Business analyst brings in the business understanding or the business aspect. It basically wears the business cap for the whole project. So there probably you can add your expertise as well as you can contribute better. And if you want to focus more on the data modeling side, and understand they need a data scientist is the role that helps and similar. But however, when you join your organization, you will realize all these roles are kind of overlapped, though there is a clear cut definition. And that is probably the reason being the industry is still evolving. So whenever a data science joins, because we don't have a data engineer, we'll end up, even the data science land up doing the work of a data architect and data engineer. And the whole skill set is such, if you know, you will be able to scale yourself and do. But when you are given an option, you should be able to map where you fit in better. Then you have a clarity on that. Because if it is a new area, it definitely helps if you know where you would like to align yourself. And for doing that, definitely the learning process, you have to plan it well. So plan it when you do that, whether you do through a training or a courses, it can be very much a self-paced course, but you have to definitely go for a structured, methodical approach. Depending on your time and depending on your flexibility, you can always opt for an online course or a self-paced course or a classroom-based. And right now, if you look at a lot of online courses available, starting from the Stanford, Coursera, Edureka, a lot of other online courses are there. But what you should do is basically you look at the course content, go some of the sample video they have and align which one you think will benefit yourself. And what I would suggest more like a project plan, do a planning for yourself. What are the things you need to learn? How do you learn? And with those learning plan, which are the courses you think will benefit, and give yourself a time bound commitment. If you want to do it, say in a 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, these are the target you have. What are the courses you should take so that that will align yourself? That's a better approach than just kind of getting into any kind of training at the end of it not able to do coming out of any measurable output. And again, I'll emphasize here the understanding of AI life cycle. When you go through the AI life cycle, there are multiple tasks, as I explained. Understand each of the stages and the task and the dependency on the other stages. Like if you look at, okay, here the link doesn't work. Because if you look at each of the stages, you have the entry and exit criteria. So first you start with the business objective, then you go to see data exploration, then you do a model development. But every stage has its own entry criteria and the exit. And the exit criteria of your prior stage is an entry criteria to your next stage. That's why it's very important you understand the whole flow. Even if you are new to the area, that is how you have to operate so that you can complete a project in the right way. And it being, as I said, it's an iterative process. So if you have to go back and redo your model or change certain parameter, and it will very easy for you to find out where you went wrong if you have a complete understanding of the life cycle, even if it means that your project doesn't require the exposure to the all model. And the other thing that's very important, which I have already highlighted, is on the practice. Practice is a very important phase because when you are learning a new area, it's not only in AI, any other area that requires practice, and machine learning and AI being a very new area, lot of things that comes up, like you kind of keep getting into new problem statements. It's very important you have to keep on practicing. So you do practice using multiple leveraging publicly open data sets, leverage some of the problem statement that are floated, whether it's Kaggle or any other forum. Try to add your input to it. You don't have to start probably with the most complex algorithm. You can start with a simple one, then later on you kind of start adding to it. If you start with a maybe a linear regression and then you started adding some more and you see why it doesn't fit and try for the next one so that you know why you chose, and that gives a much better depth of understanding. And also try learning project with the various AI concept. Like you start with the text analytics, then you can go into image. So the same algorithm you can extend that gives you a better feel for the algorithm as well as the application area. And also you, and the way you also get a feel for the programming that you are doing too. And it's also you get to understand the various industry practices, the tools and technology that are coming up. And there are multiple technology right now coming up, especially from Google and Amazon and Microsoft. Some of the tools are very like intuitive, but it's not possible for you to go through all the tools. But you should know, keep yourself updated. What are the features? What are the comparisons? So that you know at any point of time if any of the tools are adding any new features which might be useful, because AI being a new area and it's a very young technology area, it kind of is evolving every day and it will go on evolving. So it's better to track it and keep the learning ongoing basis. And again, on the when you are transitioning into new phase, choose the right company that best aligns with your aspiration and the learning path. And when I say learning path, basically where you are now, where you would like to go, and where you want to grow. With that, you aligns your the company you choose. if you are joining a consulting company, you should have interest in getting into AI consulting. Or if you are getting into a product development company, then you have to also align yourself that, yeah, you are really keen into that, so that it will also help you to grow. Plus, it will also kind of give you the right path and right opportunities. And the similar way, when you are inside a company, look for a change in the team or assignment. Follow the similar kind of thumb rules. So maybe you are in a huge organization, like when I was in Accenture, a lot of other teams, they also want to switch to AI. When they want to switch to AI, they have to also think through which team or which project will best suit to their requirement, whether they are more interested in text analytics area, more interested in predictive area, so that accordingly they can just don't join any project because you want to switch to AI, but invest some time to understand, do the learning, do the groundwork. When you are ready to join, that time you look for an assignment. And that is a much more better alignment than joining in and getting lost into that. And the last not the least, I would say stay tuned. Keep yourself updated on the industry development. This being a new area, there is a lot of exciting thing that happens everyday basis. And everybody can definitely, all of us as professionals can add value. So stay tuned and keep yourself updated on that. The next I'll cover the opportunity for freshers. When I say freshers, I assume freshers in definitions like uh, you would not have any experience in the job, but you have the basic exposure to AI and machine learning as an area. And there, I would like to emphasize that I assume you know certain stats and mathematics, and but you have to develop an expertise on programming. And if you are a fresher, probably it's much better to kind of focus in one of the language than getting into too many. And having said that, one of the language, either R or Python, probably will be a better bet. And I would always suggest Python because the kind of development in Python has happened the last uh, couple of quarters. So maybe and it's required, you have to have a mastery level. So have a good understanding of the programming language. And then I assume even if you are a fresh BTech, you will have certain background in linear algebra and stats and probability. If not, take up some courses and at least have an intermediate level knowledge on statistics, probability, and linear algebra. What you need basically is the various matrix operation, various linear algebra operations. So it's definitely those are the basic building blocks that you need to understand. And on top of that, understanding the machine learning algorithm and methods. When I say understanding, you may not have to have a implementation experience, but definitely you should understand what is the difference between a supervised learning and unsupervised learning, and when do you choose a supervised learning, and what kind of problem you should apply unsupervised. So basic elements you should know. And the other thing, you have to be very familiar with the basic and the concept of machine learning, deep learning, and AI. And you have to have certain understanding of the applications, how the various applications areas are different, and how those algorithms and methods are applied. And if you are a fresher, the other thing that probably adds a huge amount of value is showcase your expertise through a projects in AI and ML applications. So create a GitHub account, develop any projects, take any of the data set that are available, take any algorithm that you are comfortable, develop a application and put it in your resume. That adds a tremendous value to showcase what you know, and even to trigger the discussion during your job interviews. So that's a huge plus, I feel. And again, as a fresher, when you choose the company, ensure to choose the right company where you can grow as a professional and you can learn, and look at your career map accordingly, plan it out. And what kind of, because a lot of company, even if we are talking about AI, they're still kind of, still in the data issues, because data is a big problem on that. So still you'll end up doing a lot of data cleansing, data duplications. So you understand what the company is exactly doing, what kind of role they're expecting, because unless otherwise you do that, you join a company and in your first job itself you get quite frustrated doing those kind of work, which it doesn't give you the learning that you expect to learn. So that's a little bit of research on doing about the organization before you join. It goes a long way. And here I have highlighted some of the AI market opportunities that we have. This is basically published by NASCOM. This prediction was something, this analysis was done for 2018 to 21. If we look at in 2018 itself, there was a big, huge gap in talent demand and supply. And this also, if you look at it, continues, and right now it shows, like if you look at 2021, as for this, it says the demand and supply gap in AI and big data analytics expected to be 140,000, which is quite huge. And for that, obviously, the industry has to stretch itself in terms of the training institutes, the organizations, even the professionals. So there is a huge demand for it, which means there is a lot of opportunities are there. And accordingly, the whole market has to scale up, which also means there is a lot of opportunity also for the job and other career maps. If you go even this time, the data that has been published by Forbes as well as Gartner, it shows the details of the area that are coming up. With that, we'll come to the required skill set. I've covered the required, what are the lot of skills that we need. We'll go through some of them in detail. As I have emphasized in all the previous session, uh, there is the starts and maths background definitely helps. But having said that, it is not the advanced level that you must need. The intermediate level is quite good enough to understand and appreciate the subject and apply. So that's kind of, and the linear algebraic knowledge is definitely needed. So that it's worth spending some time honing those skills. Programming language is one, which is the expertise definitely is required. You should really invest time to learn any of the programming language. Learning one language always helps to pick up another. And understanding a machine learning algorithm, that's more of a building block. You should know what are the multiple learning algorithms, like supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and reinforcement learning. And then you have to also see each one of them, where you should apply and why the particular algorithm fits in the best way. So that those are the basically the skills that you need, not only the technical aspects, even the application aspect are very critical to understand. And the knowledge of machine learning tools, technology, libraries, and frameworks are definitely important, because those are the thing that you will be using on day-to-day basis. What I have highlighted here, those are more on a high-level pointers, like some of the libraries like scikit-learn, PyTorch. These are almost you will use no matter what kind of algorithm you use. And some of the frameworks like TensorFlow, Keras, Theano, these are very popular because of the powerful, the way it has come up now. Like if you look at TensorFlow, the kind of computation it supports, the kind of complex algorithm it supports, it really makes it much more easier to develop using these frameworks. So those familiarity definitely help. Those skill sets are really used. And then Google Colab, I have just highlighted because this is one of the thing that has come from Google, which the underline is Jupyter Notebook. It's more of a collaborative manner. You can share your notebooks with others. And this is a very good forum. But other than that, there is also Google, the cloud machine learning platform, the Amazon machine learning, then you have the Microsoft Azure. There are so many other tools which are very versatile, comes up with a lot of enhancements. Actually, frankly speaking, you don't have to really spend learning all of them, but you can always attend various meetings, or you can have a habit of getting into various applying to various online magazines or going through it. That itself gives a lot of comparison and studies what are the frameworks and libraries and technology are coming up, what are the new features are coming up, so that you are in a better stage whenever a new requirement comes to understand maybe this will be better than that. So that knowledge is definitely helpful to grow as a professional. And then coming to the AI base, these are basically your bread and butter, like all the AI basic concept and application areas. If you look at the AI in the core as a application area, it has multiple, like starting from predictive systems, coming to your computer vision, like your audio, video, and image analysis, then your text analytics, then natural language processing or natural language understanding, then search and optimization, and then comes to your export system. I saw a message somebody saying no audio. Am I audible?
Hi, Sanat, you are audible.
Okay, because I saw somebody saying a message no audio. Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, continuing on that, so various, when we say various application areas, then we have the export systems, then a lot of new areas that are coming up. Then similarly, the application wise, if you look at your text, speech, image or video analytics, biometrics data analysis, one of the area that we are using day in, day out now is the virtual agents. Basically, any chatbot framework that you use, those are nothing but the virtual agents. And slowly that is now getting into cognitive agents. And basically, right now, what we do whenever you get into a bank website, and there is a pop-up of the virtual agent 24 by 7, you can interface asking certain question and getting help. The next stage will be the cognitive assistance, where actually you can get help, like you can always transact using your bank account, you can transfer funds, you can get even investment advice. That is one level, is cognitive assistance. That is another application area which is going to be very, very critical in the next few years. The others is the recommendation system that has been not only in e-commerce, in multiple forums that have been very popular. And there are other application areas that are coming up now, which probably I don't know whether any of you will be familiar, is the explainable AI and ethical AI. Like explainable AI basically talks about whenever you develop a application and your algorithm suggests certain recommendations. Like, let me give an example, like in a healthcare, a patient basically gets from AI recommendation for certain treatment. Then the doctor involved in the case would like to know why the AI system recommended certain thing and based on what. because these are very important decisions, right? So that's a to give the input. This is called the area of explainable AI. So here basically the whole algorithm is explained with the logic. Why the recommend? Why certain? What are the data points are taken? Why certain logics are used? And that is where your deep learning helps quite a lot. And similarly, ethical AI. So when ethical AI talks at the ethics part of it, like one for example is the gender discrepancies. Like if you look at a job, you look at why certain applications have certain biases. Is it because of the gender? Is it because of certain data related issues? So those kind of things, just to kind of overall, there is no ethical issues. So that is one thing that's coming up in a big way, because whenever we look at AI systems, still it comes out more like a black box system. So just to ensure the black box is decoded, these are the new area that are coming up, and the other area that are coming up are hugely related to the security aspects. But the net, these are the required skill set. When I say these are the area you have to be familiar with, you may not have to have expertise on all this, but being familiar, it helps in two ways. One is you know what is coming up, and second, you also know whatever you are doing, how it is going to impact the future systems or the future technology enhancement that are coming up. And the last not the least is the hands-on expertise. That is a must. You have to understand not only the programming, you have to also understand the design aspect, the architecture aspects. So no matter what career level you are in, which part of the organization you are in, but you have to have a hands-on expertise. That is a must skill for you. And okay, so then coming, these are the technical skills. Coming to the soft skill, there are few soft skills which are really very, very critical, especially in the AI and ML kind of a scenario. The first and foremost being communication skill. When we say communication skill, I already have covered that you deal with multiple stakeholders, various type of stakeholders from background, who are from business, who are from data experts, or from technology as background. You have to kind of communicate with all of them. Other than that, there are two kinds of primary communication. One is your written communication, one is your verbal communication. When you say written communication, it's mostly it deals with your email communication, other than your writing and other stuff. But when you do those communications, the language that you use, the kind of English that you use, that kind of makes a big difference. And that is something probably you need to hone those aspects, because how you communicate, how you write certain things, that kind of makes a big difference to the whole business as such. And same thing goes for a verbal communication. When you communicate over, say, on your phone or in a presentation or in a group meeting, those skills are extremely important, because this is an area where you always communicate with people on your technical terms, converting into a layman and a business term. That's why this skill is highlighted as a very critical skill, and a lot of companies they invest in doing communication workshop, and those are really useful. And the second in the presentation skill for the simple fact, whenever you complete a work and you present your work, it has to be communicated in a very simple and in the required format to the stakeholder. And then coming to the stakeholder management, when you say stakeholder, you have multiple stakeholder, both internal as well as external stakeholder. When you talk about your external stakeholder, it could be your typical client side, from client business management, client data people. From internal, it will be your senior management, your colleagues. It's very important that you communicate with all of them and deal with all of them on the required aspects. So those skills are very important. And if it is required for you to go through some of the training, the on those skill, it's well worth it. And for doing all this, you have to be extremely a good team player. You should like to work in a team. You should enjoy, contribute, and playing that kind of a role. So that's why it's always good if you are more of a team player than an individual player, because sometimes you like to work alone, which is great. But as a at the end of the day, you have to contribute to your pace to the complete puzzle. And that's where you should fit in well. The last, we'll discuss what do the recruiters look for. Recruiters, when we say, of course, recruiters are not the technical experts, right? So they basically look for what usually a hiring manager look for. So if I look at that, maybe we can broadly say the recruiter look for three things in a broad area. One is the JD matching. The first thing, the recruiter is based on whatever the job description or the requirement that has come and how your expertise matches to that. And how do you match it? Basically, read the JD carefully and all the keywords. Usually the recruiter, they mainly do the keyword search. So basically, you ensure all the keywords in the JD in your resume, it's appropriately written and highlighted. If you have done a project where you have developed a recommendation system using certain principle, and that is where it is expected, try to highlight those with adequate details. To basically ensure your JD and resume are up. That's why it is important. You might have to tweak your resume after you go through the JD if required. And the second thing, any recruiter that they appreciate, if you understand the position well, what the position requires, and also do some amount of research for the company that you are applying for. Because if the company is working extensively on consulting assignment and you are applying for a position there, you should know what it takes and what the company does, what you have done and what you are looking for, so that when you discuss, you do not contradict what you are looking for and what they are looking for. So that's why that is important. So it is well worth spending some time on that side. And the other thing that comes out is under the soft skill. The soft skill includes a whole lot of things, but these are probably the highlight or the pointers to it. One is any recruiter, whether it's a job fair or it's a in person, but it's like what comes out in the attitude of the candidate. That's very much important. That's like breaking the ice. So that kind of, you have to show a very positive attitude to kind of fast, break into a conversation or when you are looking for a position. And the second thing, your business acumen, right? Business acumen, because usually in an AI-based role, most of the time, the requirement is tagged to some amount of business requirements. So if you have a business understanding of that, that obviously reflects pretty well. So any recruiter would like to know if you have the business appreciation for certain areas. And if you have the business appreciation for the whole project that you execute, if you have been a project manager, do you understand even the business aspect of that project, not just the technology aspects? And the other thing is the communication skill. As I said, like how do you communicate and how do you interact, how good a team player you are. Those are the lot of things that plays a important role in this kind of an assignment. And the other thing that has become very critical in this is the primary motivation for a job change, which actually specific a lot of companies, they specially keep a placeholder for writing why somebody is looking for a job change. So why are you looking for a change? What are the reasons? That takes a lot of inputs to judge, like how do you match with the organization that you are applying for. So that is something which the recruiter definitely look for. Other than that, based on the position you are applying for, if you are open for relocation, for travel and other things, of course they look for, and the salary expectations, which are the normal checkpoints. But the overally what goes very important is how do you come across as a person or a candidate, and how much you know about the company and how you fit into a role. So that's basically is what comes out your profile, how much you match to what they are looking for. So that's pretty much what I have now. If you have any question, I would like to take up. Okay, I'll just read maybe one by one question. The first question is from Nishan. What is expected from a person with 12 to 14-year experience, have some hands-on and AI algorithm techniques and programming language, and comes from a management background? Nishant, if you have close to around 15-year experience and you have hands-on expertise on algorithm and technique and programming, and you come from a management background, I would say it's a definitely very good combination. And you can apply for multiple roles. You can go for a business analyst. You can also get into data scientist roles. So based on whichever more aligns with your interest, you can apply. And it will be expected that since you are around, say, 15-year experience, at least you will be in a project lead kind of a role. So there, the other thing that you will have is people management experience. And but that is what I would say in a typical AI kind of project, that is kind of, it can be groomed, you can do it. But if you have a technical experience as well as management background, you can fit into the most of the roles other than maybe engineering or architecture role. And then there is one more question. I cannot see the name, but I'm fascinated by IML, trying to transition into the field, even though I have worked for total 11 plus years, initially as software engineer, later handling my own small business. I'm trying to understand in general what expectation would an organization have from someone like me. You already covered this topic in general, but appreciate specific advice help me understand where do I start in the industry. What kind of roles should I expect to get? Yeah, this is Ajay said, even if you are transitioning from another field and you are having you are having a background in software engineering, you have to invest some time initially to kind of brush up the basic elements. Like I say, some of them, because AI was an area, it's kind of requires the appreciation for basic starts and maths. It expects an experience in the programming. So what I would suggest, spend some time to kind of brush up your knowledge on statistics and mathematics. At least one of the programming language, develop an expertise, have a real hands-on, and get into the machine learning various models. Try to make your hand dirty by developing some of them, and then you start applying. Once you start applying, but when you apply, you also look at what are the kind of role you would like to start with. and then you go. It's very much possible. A lot of people I have seen completely coming even from civil engineering, instrumentation, they transition into AI and they make a very successful career. So transition, I don't see as a challenge as long as you have that commitment and the interest to get into it. And then there is one more question. Just give me a second. Yeah, there is a question from Sibranjan. I have learned machine learning, data science with Python from Simply Learn. Just a second. The screen is flashing. How to move further? How to get a job? Which word should I choose? Yeah, see what I expect, yeah, other than if you know, when you say machine learning, I expect that you learn the basics of all the algorithm you can really apply and you know Python. So in that case, definitely you can apply for a entry level role and then you can groom yourself. At this point, probably you don't have to really think whether you want to get into predictive, you want to get into NLP or computer vision. You can get into any of the AI projects and slowly explore if you want to start in that way. Because since you are just starting your career on this, then definitely it should help to kind of start with the basic. Just give me 1 second. My
Yeah.
screen is flashing here. I have 5 year
Utamari.
experience in software and website development using ASP.NET. Machine learning from simpler how move further. Which one should I choose? Yeah, Shiv, actually, you say you have experience in software and website development. You are learning machine learning and data science with Python. Yeah, it's again what I said just in my last answer. If you have already learned machine learning, you know Python with data science, do some of the hands-on project to get a hang of it before applying for a job, and you go for any entry-level job. And since you are just starting your career, that will give you enough exposure. And then you kind of decide which area will be moved after you or which interest you more. The next question is from Shweta. How to apply AI in supply chain domain? That's a very interesting question, Shweta, because supply chain as a domain, it really requires a lot of AI application and a lot of areas starting from your warehouse streamlining to even the complete process has been done. A lot of work has been done in supply chain. So if you go to any of the blog posting on the supply chain in AI, you will see how they have applied, like basically in optimization beyond transport route. How do you like it's a lot? It's in the deep learning space. Lot of application now is happening on the supply chain area. So I suggest get into any of those blogs so that you will get actually hands-on knowledge how people are using when they use, what are the algorithm which are useful, which are the algorithm actually not giving the required accuracy. So it's a very good, because this area is one is healthcare, one is supply chain, now is coming up with huge requirements utilizing AI. The next question is from Binay. Binay, I'm just flash. I have learned data science with Python, machine learning, deep learning, how to move further, how to get a job. Yeah, I assume, Binay, you are a fresher. So if you have already learned the basic in machine learning, data science, and deep learning, what you should do at this point, start develop some of the hands-on projects. Take any of the open source data sets that you have available and try them out, develop some project. The best way to use maybe through GitHub. And those projects try to kind of demonstrate, use maybe multiple algorithm to come up with various outputs, analyze it. That will also give a good understanding for yourself. And when you apply for a job, it will give also the feel to the hiring manager that you already have done projects that are involving such concept. That will help you to get a job. The other question, I'm working in ITSM domain from 6 years. How do I switch to data science AI? Most of the company need experienced candidate. Do I need to start as a fresher again? I have little experience in AI ML. I have started current organization. Yeah, this question is from Himanshu. Himanshu, yeah, it's actually when you look for, say, suppose you have 6 year experience. When you come to AI, you may not get what a AI person with the 6 year experience will get. So I would suggest don't look at that way, because like you will have a learning curve. But however, you will be able to kind of overcome that in later part of the career if you try. But at this point, you try to see if you have certain domain expertise or technology expertise that you can leverage, so that you don't have to start as a complete fresher, but you add in certain amount of value, certain expertise, and then you kind of, but having said that, you have to also learn the basic AI ML knowledge in terms of your algorithm in your programming, and so that when you join any of the AI projects, you will be able to start contributing from day one. So you may not be able to join as a, suppose you are a 6 year, you may not be able to join as a project lead directly, but you can definitely leverage certain of your expertise not to join as a fresher. But then you have to also kind of equip yourself with the required knowledge. So do that kind of ground level investment that should help you to kind of start a career. Hope that helps. The next question is from Anuraj Agarwal. I'm looking for a change in terms of my career path. Presently, I'm working in telecom with over 10 plus year experience. I've completed AI ML courses, but I don't know how and where to look for transition. It is more about confidence. For 10 years, I've been working in different fields with different skill set being my forte. I understand, Anwar, this is very natural. Nothing to feel bad about that. Whenever you transition from any field, this is what usually you feel. The best way to do it is to kind of spend some time in multiple forum, and that's my suggestion. Be in part of any other technology groups, whether it's online or meetup. Try to participate in some of the hackathons, some of the group projects, so that you can really contribute, and also that will bring up your confidence. And in the meantime, start applying for jobs that interest to you, so that you will be able to align yourself on that. So it's like, even if you have 10 years experience, once you get into a new area, you really do not feel, it doesn't pull you back. Rather, once you like the area, it kind of, you start enjoying and doing it. So, but start in getting yourself involved in a multiple technology forum, both online as well as in person. The next question. There are some questions from same people. Maybe I'll first give the people whom I have not answered. There is one question. I have worked 15 years in telecom, customer analytics and operation. Presently interested in AI, completing PGP in AI. How I start? Can I start in training or coaching jobs? Yes, you can. if you have, but the way it goes, like if you want to do the training or coaching in AI, definitely you can do once you complete your training, but you have to ensure you have hands-on. You should be able to actually help your, the students whom you are training to be employable. So with that in mind, you can definitely train because there is a lot of scope in the industry at this point. And if you have the required knowledge, why not? Definitely you should be able to. The next question is how much depth should I go in each of the ML, DL data science field? Because each of the field contain tons of things to learn. Yes, I agree. But if you look at these areas are very much interrelated. Once you completely understand ML as algorithms and you do few applications, and then you move on to deep learning and start learning the deep learning concept, you will be able to appreciate that certain things that were missing in the machine learning are complemented in deep learning, and you will be able to really learn. So you don't have to really get overwhelmed with the scope. What I would suggest rather start with say basic with the machine learning, which is the basic building block of your algorithms. And data science is nothing but the whole data pipeline and how it is managed. So deep learning, you can always come to the application at the end. So you go into fast machine learning, you get into the deep, understand, apply. Once you are very comfortable and you are able to use that for a complete end-to-end data pipeline, then you go into deep learning. So in that transition will definitely help you to get a complete grasp of the topic. The next question is from Saranya. Is big data or Spark skill expected for a career in data science in future? It's when he says Saranya, it's required. It is definitely it helps, but it's not mandatory. Spark skill help, but there are so many other skills are also required. If you have, you can always look for the same skill, but it's not mandatory. The next question, I have completed AI master course. I'm a fresher. I have completed B electronics. Could you tell what kind of question of interview on the last? Uh, okay, if you are starting as a fresher, the typical question that will be asked, there are multiple rounds. The first round, usually as a fresher, you will have a written, and then followed by the technical round and the hiring manager and last HR. And the question that you will be doing and that will be more of a quiz or a problem statement and so on. So it will be completely technically you have to, it's more of a technical question that will be asked as a fresher. Next is Anish. What impact the current pandemic will have on AI? Sorry, again it rolled above screens. Industry or jobs. I don't think really it will have any impact in terms of the job. How we have to visualize because the whole world has slowed down because of this COVID. So that will impact the business as a whole. So maybe traveling abroad, those opportunities will be kind of, but then having looking at that, lot of companies have started working on this as a new challenge area. So there will be a lot of innovation in this area, but at the same time, the business will take some time to revive. But I don't think it will have, and it will recoup. AI as an industry, I think rather it will have a lot more requirement to do because if you look at deep learning, that AI and other areas, other forum, they have started investing and finding out a lot of things about COVID. So job aspects, I don't think it will have much impact. The next question, I'm a fresher with a regular college degree. How can I get into ML? Engineering position in company like Microsoft, Facebook, in top companies. See, okay, it's like this. First, what I would suggest, it's good to keep the aspiration like a top companies like Microsoft or Facebook. But first, you see what is your background, how do you want to scale up for that area, and if you want to target a company like Microsoft or Facebook, then you try to look at what are the kind of products, what are the kind of tools and technology they are using, because if you look at Microsoft has a full stack on its own, like Microsoft Azure, and they're developing all kinds of advanced technique for AI. So you then accordingly align yourself. But having said that, you have to, as a fresher, you have to still invest in the building block, the initial fundamentals. The next question is from Rakesh. I have 13 years of IT experience, including hands-on experience data science platform, but did not have project management experience. Which role I can apply? Rakesh, to be honest, actually project management role is not that much required. Most of the way it works in the AI, if you look at any AI programs, everybody plays a key role. If you have a hands-on experience and you have 13 years of IT experience, you can apply any of the project lead roles. Even the project management, the project management, the way it is managed is a different team altogether called PMO. They sit and do project management. You don't do it anymore. The next question is Saki. I have 3 years of experience in testing, looking to move into data science. In interviews, if I tell the truth that I am into testing and wish to move into AI, they reject me directly, telling me we need experienced people in AI. I try to portray my complete AI experience. That's very tough question. Nobody wants to hire experienced in IT with no experience in data science. If no one will provide a chance to start, how to move. Shaki, see, look at the other way. You don't change the other people, you can't change. What you can do by yourself, you can equip yourself. And how do you do that is basically you have to learn the basics. You might be doing testing, but you want to move into AI, right? To start building your complete profile, start planning. How do you learn what you need to learn to get into AI? Once you know all the building, all the requirements for AI, you might be working on testing, but you are hands-on in AI, you have done in projects in AI, and you understand the life cycle, you already have hands-on experience projects you have, then nobody is going to tell you you are not competent enough. So make yourself rather more competent and capable. Not what you are doing that is very different than what you are capable of. Once you make yourself equipped with the required knowledge, you can very well apply and get a job. The next question is from Bishwanath. I'm into VLSI, microchip design, just completed master in AI. I have 23-year experience. I'm looking for designing AI hardware. Which company do such work so that I can apply? Whose blogs and portals should I practice? AI like Kaggle. Bishwanath, actually, there are very few company who work on the hardware side. As I'm aware, maybe sorry, I have very limited exposure to the hardware side of AI. But there are companies who are looking into. I know Intel does a lot of work. The other also there are some of the very specialized. It's not startup, I would not say, but there are companies who are small company, but there are niche companies on those. I'm not aware of any blog that focuses especially on the hardware side of AI. But if you look at the AI forums, there are multiple forums they highlight, but the hardware side, I have not seen that much discussion coming. And Kaggle doesn't really focus on that, though on and off there are some problem statements on that. I'm sorry, I don't have much knowledge on the hardware side, which are the company working in it. I can find out probably. The next question comes whenever I want to work on some data set, I get demotivated suddenly thinking of the fact that the model would have been worked by some expert in Kaggle or any other forum. What new things will I contribute to an already built best model? It doesn't matter whether somebody else has done that model. When you do it, you add value from your end. First thing, you learn how your model works. Maybe I have tried that with say one of the model and you tried and so it the accuracy gets better. Or maybe you try some other problem statement which can be some other new algorithm. So don't think what you other people have done. You more focus on what is your learning. At the end of it, if you can improvise your algorithm using the data set. Data set is nothing but a tool that is given to you to use and improvise your algorithm. I would suggest look at that way. Next question is from Santosh. Currently, I'm working as a business analyst in data analytics team. A basic knowledge of coding and good knowledge in AI/ML. Which role I can go? Business analyst, data scientist. I have 11-year experience. How can project myself to interviewer as expert data scientist? Have business and management knowledge. Okay, Santosh, if you have a good knowledge of coding and AI and ML, you can go actually for a data scientist as well as a business analyst role. The business analyst, as you must be aware, it looks at more on the business expertise which you already have. And as a data scientist, you look at more of the data modeling aspect. Whichever interests to you, you can definitely. So, what I would suggest when you go for the interview, depending on which area you want to focus, suppose you want to more into data scientist, then you more highlight what are your experience, expertise in data scientist, whatever the data scientist role requires, and what a kind of previous work you have done, so that the interviewer can relate to the requirement and can appreciate your contribution. Rather, you align that in your discussion, that will help. The next question is from Nabeen. I have 4-year experience in mainframe technology, and from last 1 year, I'm in data science and ML. While applying jobs and different forum for data scientist role, I'm not sure what experience range I need to apply and try to switch. Many recruiter ask for real project. Most of them do not consider Kaggle Capstone project. How can I showcase my skill in Kaggle Capstone will not accept it? Actually, that should not be the case, Nabin. So maybe you have to just re-articulate your resume. Most of the whenever I was in Accenture or other organization, I always consider those projects. Rather, in fact, whenever I get a resume, I look at first the GitHub link. If anybody has a GitHub account, I go and see what are the kind of projects they have done, what is the kind of depth and understanding they have. So try to highlight those projects in the resume, highlighting what are the business state problem, why you chose the algorithm, and what was your finding. If you articulate well, I'm sure any hiring manager will be able to appreciate your contribution. Then the question from Suraj, thanks for sharing, is what will be the job scope in ML next 3 to 4 months? Will there be any effect due to COVID-19? No, Suraj, I just replied. I don't think there will be any major impact other than the travel restriction and similar kind of impact. That's what my suggestion, but I would not really know because still we are in the middle of the whole problem. Then the next question is from Santosh. How many rounds does 11-year experience guy will have and what are they? Santosh, it depends on company to company. Some company have the, no matter how many year experience you have, still they do a written. Some company, if it's a 11 experience, I would expect they will have a technical round, hiring manager round, and then maybe depending on that, a group head or HR. So it will be around 3 to 4 rounds usually. But then some company are more flexible, some company are more thorough. It depends on the process. Here the Kishan, the next question. I have 7+ year experience in Python and PHP. I have learned AI ML course. What to do next? I want job in cybercrime prevention. Okay, that's good, Kishan. That's a very good area. That's a very niche area. What I would suggest now that you have already experienced in Python and you have learned AI ML, try to get some actual problem statement and develop some of the projects so that you get a hands-on on this. Plus, when you apply those, you can demonstrate as your expertise. That will probably help. Next is from Siddharth. As a fresher, can I get a job in deep learning? I have uploaded some 2 projects on computer vision, participated some Kaggle getting started competition. Do I have to start as data scientist, then move to deep learning? Uh, no, Siddharth, you don't have to start as a data scientist, then go into deep learning. If you are comfortable in deep learning is already the applications are pretty vast. You can do it. But if you have done those projects, articulate properly what you have done. I assume you understand thoroughly those aspects. So highlight them. You can definitely start applying for job and see where you stand. Then there is a message from Birinal Jha. Thank you for sharing your experience. I'm signing off. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Santosh, there is a last question from Santosh. Uh, just 1 second. Oh, there are a few other questions. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just kind of, there are too many questions and we have, give me just a few minutes again. Do you need to have a good coding knowledge, or can we have expertise in AI/ML tools like IBM Watson, AWS, ML? Well, actually, you can use tools, but those days are gone when you can only use tools and do it. Even if you use AWS, ML, or IBM Watson, still you need to understand the intricacy, how the tool is used. So I look at coding more of a concept, like if you know or you can pick up Python, as I said. So, but then even if you are using IBM version, tomorrow if the version changes, you should be able to pick up. But by doing that, you are well aware that you are restricting yourself to a given tool. So the call is yours. How to find initial salary expectation? Initially, actually, the salary details, you can see any of the Glassdoor or Naukri kind of. It depends from what kind of experience you have, what level you are joining, and what is the role you are fitting in. So a lot of companies, even on the fresher level, they have a different slab depending on which school you are coming, what is your background, what kind of experience you have. Will only creating predictive model help me to stand different from others? I didn't really understand the question. If your question is by creating a predictive model will help you to stand a, see, it's predictive is one of the many application area. But having said that, if you are really good in predictive and you want to highlight your expertise in that, you can definitely highlight. But that's not the only area that you look for, but depends on how you want to kind of, specialize yourself. During training, we have learned about various theorems relating to data science, but neither have applied them nor other people. Then how you practice over them? Yeah, that is the problem, because when you learn about any data science concept. Unless you apply them, it doesn't make any sense. So what I would rather suggest, if you have not learned, go back to the drawing board, learn, start applying them. Unless you apply what you have learned, it as good as it stays in the textbook. Should I have to go for training again or intensive? If you feel you need to train yourself, you definitely should do the training. As I said, you can go for online self-paced, but training is definitely a good idea. I think all of us, we train ourselves even now, right? Should I have to learn data structure algorithm for interview? No, in the interview, again, it depends what kind of interview or job you are applying for. If you are applying for a typical ML kind of position, algorithm is definitely required. Data structure, it again depends. If you are applying for a role which is more of a data warehousing, which requires the knowledge of data structure, then you will have. So it all goes by what kind of job you are applying for and what it requires. How to find the problem to solve. The public problem to solve through. I don't understand the question. How do you find the problem to solve? I'm talking relating to public problem to solve through AI. When you say public problem, I understand that it's more of you are talking about the realistic problems. If you look at any of the problem statement in Kaggle or somewhere, those are nothing but realistic problem. You can pick up any one of them. The next is how to grasp any field together, like NLP, time series, text generation, various concept, OpenCV, web scrapping, also various tools that I have learned during the learning. I don't have very good marks in 12th, but little bit good in college. GPA, but in this, whether it will affect the hiring, the negative impact. Well, in the GPA, if you look at the GPA, yeah, they usually the company they look for certain grades, but it is not that GPA. If you have 4 or 4.5, they differentiate you. There is a cutoff expectation that is there that you have a GPA of, say, for example, I'm saying maybe 4.5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. But that is like a cutoff. They don't judge you or select you just because of the GPA. Rather, they judge you based on the area, the technology area, and your expertise on that. The question from Kishan, I want to get job in cyber. I think Kishan, I have already replied you. Okay, the last question, myself, Harshavardhan. I'm pursuing BTech Electronic Communication in the second year. I have taken Master Certification AI Data Science. I have good concept of Python. I have published my course on Udemy. I'm curious whether I have to learn software development, web development, select which field I have to take. Do I have to remember? No, I don't think you have to. See, you don't have to really learn about software development or web development for getting into AI. Those are very different kind of aspect. And which area of AI you have to see. Data scientist is not a area. Data scientist is a role in AI. As a data scientist, I showed the AI life cycle. The data scientist role comes with you understand the data, you develop the model, you evaluate the model. Basically, you understand the algorithm and you know how to apply to the data. So, yeah, but AI is a complete field. So do not confuse with that. I do not remember syntax and parameter of SQL. You don't have to remember the syntax. See, the way it goes once you keep developing multiple programs, you know sklearn, like if you are using scikit-learn, you know how it is used, or your TensorFlow, how the tensor are formed. Once you know, then you just do it. You don't have to remember. And nobody tells you to kind of sit in isolation and don't touch anything and do it. All you have to know how to use it. Is TensorFlow 2.0 is Keras just a simple confirmation? No, TensorFlow 2.0 is a version. Keras is basically it's uses TensorFlow. It is not same as Keras. Keras is another framework. How to increase domain knowledge? Domain knowledge, the only way to kind of get the business aspect of it. So like, for example, you want to learn about supply chain, there is a whole lot of things that are available on supply chain. Go through it, understand the business process end to end, then you will get a feel for it. Okay, I think I covered all the question. If I missed out any question, please do let me know. There is a lot of question I saw through it. If I have missed, then please do let me know.